At the stage. There we go. I will figure it all out one of these days. Who knows? Maybe I'll even be a pro, but right now, certainly not. Panel layout is kind of a sticky issue when it comes to comics, I find, because a lot of people feel like standard, clean, clear panel layout is the best way to go. While others think that, bold, dynamic, exciting panel layout like this is sort of the best way to tell a story. You see a lot of this sort of thing in action comics. Indie comics, not quite as much. Slower slice of life comics, I've seen dynamic panel layout used to great effect, but it's less common. So we're going to be talking more about dynamic panel layout in the case of an action sequence. We've got August in here. Hey, August, how you doing? All right. So first off, we're going to focus on a few examples. There are a few different types of dynamic panel layout, and Discord is doing its, Magma is resetting my panel, my page a lot here. Man, I'm lost. All right. So this is from a comic called Danger Girl. It's an older comic, but it's well known for being like full of action, tons of like goofy, cheesy storytelling, lots of one-liners, guns, fisticuffs, magic, all that sort of good stuff. So if you're looking for an artist, or especially a comic from an artist that does crazy panel layout, generally speaking, I would look at Danger Girl. The artist name is J. Scott Campbell. Right now, what we're looking at is I'll call it shifted panel layout. So instead of using like a standard grid, like we were talking about last time, panel after panel after panel without any variation, shifted panel layout is all about tilting the screen, changing the angle of the panels to make things feel more dynamic. And this is a great example of a slice, a full width panel that cuts through the layout to show a moment of action. So as you can see here, there's already shots being fired, ping, 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 things are happening. And then as the main character, Abby Chase, jumps out from behind the desk and takes a few shots, we get that nice slice. It's at a bit of a diagonal. It's kind of askew, right? So it shows some of the motion of the action itself within the panel layout. One of the best ways to use this sort of layout is exactly as you see here, to help sort of push the energy of the illustration itself into the panel layout. So right here, we're looking at a slice. The next one, in my notes here, I made sure I kept this guy's name. Here we go. Dan Slott's amazing Spider-Man work has been really fun to look at as I've been digging up examples of this. Now, this is an establishment overlap. As you can see here, we have our classic Spidey web swing shot. He's swinging through the city. The bane of every Spider-Man artist is wide shots of cities with lots of buildings. So if you don't like doing perspective, you're not going to be a Spider-Man artist. But this is an overlap. So you see the character is overlapping the panels, but it's not necessarily to illustrate any kind of action or to give you any kind of, eye lead, from panel to panel. It's more to establish the shot, right? We have a nice, big, bold image here of Spider-Man doing a swing. It's setting you into the scene and kind of getting you established. This is a really fun way of bringing dynamism into the shot from the very start, and also of not having to rely on like a full page image to show you, to show the viewer where they are. It keeps things big and exciting, but still keeps you in that, standard, left to right kind of panel read. The next one we see here, this is Black Widow's Chris Samney, I think that's how you say it. Chris Samney's Black Widow. We have a combination of elements here. We already have some tilts. We have slices. We have kind of a asymmetrical panel layout, which is always a ton of fun. But as you can see here, this is absolutely used to illustrate the energy of an action. We walk through explosion, character bursts through explosion, close-up of character in action shot, and a close-up on face to get you some of the mood of the character themselves. This cut right here, cut with an overlap, is a beautiful example of dynamic panel layout being used to really push energy into a scene. one of the difficult things that comes with making comics is you're trying to show a lot of movement and action in something that is, static by nature. And this technique right here is a super way to bring kinetic energy into your static images. And then the final one, we're going back to Amazing Spider-Man. Everybody knows Spidey sense, right? Spider-Man has this Spidey sense, which helps him know when danger is coming. So we have an establishing shot, which is a really simple, basic panel, nice, clean rectangle. Then we have an overlap cut. This is his spider sense. This is technically a panel, but it's being treated more like a speech bubble, right? We're breaking the pattern of shapes. We're going from rectangle to circle, back to rectangle, and that gives us a beat. So this is an overlap used for a beat. And you'll notice we have more overlaps going on down here with Venom's hands reaching into that first panel, which helps to kind of pull all of the actions into a single moment, which helps to illustrate the immediacy of that spider sense followed by the attack. So dynamic panel layout can be used for a lot of really good, interesting reasons. But we're going to take a step back and go through exactly what we talked about one more time for those who just joined us. Tilts and cuts like this are great for illustrating energy and making an action sequence feel dynamic. We have establishment overlaps, which are used to draw the eye to an establishing image without having to rely on standard panel layout. Keeps things feeling dynamic. We have action, energy overlaps. So this is a slice and an overlap used to push energy into this highly energetic motion experience. And then we have overlaps used to sort of illustrate the immediacy of a situation. Because the standard eye motion from here is Spider-Man to Spidey sense to final panel. But because of these hands reaching into that first panel, it keeps everything kind of together as a single image, which helps to illustrate, again, the immediacy of that situation. So today, hopefully, if we get more than 2 people in here, 3 people, we're going to go into these sort of pre-laid out pages here. Let's go to the first one, panel layouts over here. And just like last time, I'd like everyone to claim a page and start working on a sequence. Now, again, I highly encourage you to start with, basic, simple sketches, stick figures, nothing too exciting. I want you to get your motions and your panels laid out before you start doing any high fidelity drawing. So this is a page, not a panel. So everybody chooses a page, and then I want you to sort of think of a quick 1-page story you're telling, whether it's a character walking and sitting down and noticing something cool in the river that he's been walking next to, all the way to, Black Widow jumping out of an exploding building, right? It doesn't have to be anything exciting, but I want you to try to think of a way you can use dynamic panel layout, cuts, overlaps, the things that I showed you in that example page to make your creation feel more exciting, to really capture dynamic energy. August has claimed the central page. And really sort of like use this dynamic panel layout stuff to guide the eye and kind of illustrate the excitement or the energy or the tone that you're going for. I see we have Sugarcane still hanging out in the examples page. That's fine. But until then, I'm going to sit and watch for a little bit and see what's going on here. We've got Glitchy. Hey, Glitchy, what's up? August is already kind of floating around the page. That's good. Now, if you want to do panels, I highly recommend using the rectangle tool. And, go to rectangle. And if you haven't used the shape tools too much, you can just switch between stroke and fill. If you go to stroke, it'll just draw the outline. If you go to fill, it'll draw a full shape. So you can start laying out panels. And once you have your panels kind of laid out, and you can adjust them once you draw the rectangle, you can change the orientation of it by transforming it. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. Glitchy, if you can choose a different page so you're not drawn on top of August, there you go. We're just gonna start putting some stories on the page here. Until Sugarcane pops out of the demo page, I'm gonna go ahead and claim. Well, first I'm putting my glove on. I almost forgot. Trespassing on my turf. Glitchy's trespassing on August turf. That can't end well for anyone. Yeah, a fun thing to do too, to kind of help yourself figure out how you want to lay this out, is to do a sketch not just of the characters but of the panels themselves. So, as an example, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So, before I start putting in like real panels, let me get my sketch brush here. Pencil tools in Magma have always been so funny to me. They don't feel like pencils. They feel like um, pixel art tools. Sketchy. All right. I don't want stabilizer for this. Why I have that on? All right. So let's think. I think we have sugarcane showing up twice in panel layouts too. I'm going to go over here and take a peek at you, see what you're doing soon. What am I going to do here? You know what? I'm going to do my Dark Hollow stuff just to keep that theme going. So I'm going to start off, I think, with a nice breakout panel to establish a scene, but I'm going to keep that sort of standard top to bottom layout in place. You just joined. Yaga, hey, how you doing? Hit up the chat here really quick if you need explanation of what we're doing. So those of you who have been in classes with me before will recognize that I am not putting any effort into making these clean. My sketches are always real messy and quick. I like to spend time on layout and kind of energy before I spend any time on structure. Uh-oh. Apologies. I think it's this new apartment. I think my internet might just be a little bit on the too glitchy to do this kind of work side of things. It's been a little bit frustrating. Sorry in advance if I randomly go dark again. Not my intention. As I don't really remember exactly when my disconnect happened, I'm just going to go ahead and say this again. I keep things real sketchy because I want to work on energy, layout, and tone before I work on any kind of like real serious art. So I'm going to keep nice and light. So I'm planning out my breakout here. So my first Establishment breakout is going to be all about energy and showing that our character is running. Unlike last time, you can use as many speech bubbles as you want. There's no rule against that in this one. So I might actually break out my speech bubble a little bit. I'm envisioning this as a page insert with a kind of a large border around it, which will give me room for actual page break instead of just panel break, which we didn't discuss, but I've been doing this for a while. I can do whatever I want. Now, when it comes to telling a story through comics, one thing that we'll discuss a little bit later in another lesson is it's not just about character design or fun basic storytelling. We're doing more than just that. We're doing a lot of things with eye direction, right? Like, so the standard American comic is being read from left to right and top to bottom. And that means that action that breaks that pattern tends to feel a little off-putting and strange. For a second, for the sake of our stream, I'm going to go over here one more time. You'll notice that we have in this shot here in this page, main characters, these guys that are in light and focus that are fighting the henchmen, they are firing to the left, and the henchmen are drawn in a way that shows them firing to the right and toward the camera. So it helps to sort of set up who's shooting where and where the action is taking place. It's important that while you're drawing the panels from left to right and top to bottom, you're also keeping the action moving in a direction that makes sense to that flow. So the characters who are firing are always firing in a direction that sort of lines up with the positioning of the enemies and the characters in this sort of imagined set that they have here. You'll see here also, same thing happens with Spider-Man, swinging towards the screen, toward the screen, character looks back over his shoulder, toward the screen. Everything is being drawn from top to bottom because Spider-Man himself is coming in from above. So the positioning of the characters and all of this stuff sort of helps to keep the eye in the direction necessary to understand like where the characters are in space. This one's a little more straightforward. Black Widow is always moving in the direction of the explosion because she's being shot out of the building like a cannon. So that's a little less exciting, but still pretty obvious. Left, right, left, right, left to right keeps the character, the reader turning the page in the right direction. This breaks the rule just a bit because it's using that overlap that keeps this page feeling like an instant, a snap. So, all right, we have Turkey. Hey, Turkey. If you are looking for a space to draw, you can go on to the next page. I've set up kind of paper page spaces for everyone to use. For those of you who are just here, we have so Turkey's the only one here. Yaga just stopped by to say hi, it looks like. We're going to be practicing dynamic panel layout. So if you want examples of good dynamic panel layouts, Turkey, you can go to this last tab down here, dynamic panel layout examples. You can look through some pages that I've collected that show, dynamic panel shapes, breakthroughs, energetic layouts, and tie-in overlaps to make things feel snappy. So feel free to hop over to dynamic panel layout examples and take a peek. All right. So panel 2, I'm thinking is going to be something ominous and dark approaching our fleeing character. I'm going to put him in shadow because that's spooky. Who doesn't like that? So we're going to keep him running. over here. Actually, I think I'm going to move him a little bit. He's in a weird spot here. I'm going to use his foot to separate character from actor. So I'm going to be doing something in here that we'll talk about in another class, probably the next one, which is treating speech balloons in a way that identify the speaker. If anybody here reads a lot of webtoons, you'll notice that we have oftentimes we have speech balloons that sort of are treated a certain way, have kind of a weird wiggly outline or some kind of cloudy lines on them to indicate mood or tone, or which character is saying which line. Oftentimes in hero comics, you'll see that speech balloons will change color if a character like bursts into powery fire or whatever. If somebody's triggering their avatar state, I guess you'll say. We'll talk a little more about that next time. And never hesitate to edit your thoughts as you go. Like, I thought I was going to have two little panels here to show like a little more of the chase sequence, but we're making comics. We have, in the digital age, as many pages as we want, so we can make this last as long as we need. And so I think this is going to be a pretty important scene. So instead of cutting everything tight and making sure that it's all told in one page, I'm going to use my panel layout here to show him jumping off the ledge of a building. And since I think it needs to be a bigger image to keep that story clear, I'm going to make the panel bigger. I'm going to put that tilt that I wanted here down here instead of up high. And I'm going to pull that ledge of the building up a little bit so that you can tell what's going on. All right, let's see what we got going on here. This is looking cool, August. You have an establishing shot here with a breakout. Over here, we got some, it's going to be a cool cat dude in a hood. I like it so far. I think that's what I'm looking at. This is nice. You've got speech bubble breakout over here, which is already kind of advanced. You're drawing the eye. So where do you imagine the eye line going? Is it going, and I'll erase this. Is it going from here to here to here? Or is it going from here to here to here? What was your idea here? Like, what did you think was going on? There. Yep. And then down to there. Got it. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. I would recommend, this is a panel here, right? Is this a panel or is this part of the larger image here? That's panel. Okay. So the only thing I would recommend is that panel, just because of the motion of your figures, is pulling an inexperienced reader would probably go from here to here to here, just because of the position of the panels and the fact that this is such a smaller element than this larger element. This feels like an anchor point where this feels kind of small and easy to breeze past. So I would either take this part of the panel and pull it down and cut it into the speech bubble a bit so that the speech bubble is guiding the eye in this direction into that panel. Or I think that's the best solution for me. But I do still need to see your finished layout. This is just a sketch. So, but thoughts? I'm going to go look at the next page, see what we got. Ooh. I'm loving this. Glitchy, that's looking great. This is super hardcore. I love it. Sugar, this is looking pretty dynamic. This is exciting. Is this the panel edge here? Sugar? Okay, I'll let you do your thing. I will let you guys get a bit further before I start critiquing. Just trying to see if I can catch weird. From right to left. Yeah. I'm just asking, so this looks like this is a panel, right? Is that the edge of a panel? Okay. I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see where it goes. All right, I'll come back to this once you have a little bit more done. But this is, I would, if I was an editor and I was looking at the initial layout, I would probably mention this as being a little bit hard to follow. Like a cutout on top of a really interesting panel shape like that can sometimes start making things feel a bit too chaotic. But I want to see where you're going with this. I want to see what you do because it looks cool. You'll see if you go back to the Danger Girl and the Black Widow, just to look at the reference, we have some pretty dynamic positioning and layouts of these panels, but rarely do the panels take really non-standard shapes, I guess is the word I'll look at. Like this is a lot for a panel. But I'm still want to see what you've got in your head here, because I want to see what you're doing. Because sometimes some artists can really just go ham on their panels shapes and it still feels fine. So, and I know you're a good artist, so I want to see what you do with this. Glitchy, I like this character a lot already. All right, back to what we got going on here. Oh, who's joined us? Hey, Melon, how you doing? We have a free panel on this page, and then we have some other pages too if you want to, a little more space to work. So each one of these is a page. You can see that we have August is using this page. I'm using this page. If you go to the next page, the next tab, we have 3 more artists working, and they're doing great work. Since you're just here, hello. Hop on over to the dynamic panel layout example tab. I don't know why I can't talk today. And I want you to look at the examples that I use. We're talking about making dynamic panels. So panels that are exciting, that show energy, that draw the eye, character breakouts from panels to make things feel more exciting and flashy. That's the goal of today's lesson. So you can see what I'm doing here on my page. I have some breakout going on with the main character and the establishing shot. I have breakout at the bottom as well, which is something a little further than I would normally go. I would usually reserve breakout for one image in a page layout, but that's just my style. But since we're talking about this as the core of the lesson, I'm going to go ahead and toss that in. That page seems slow. Oh no, yeah, you can't use the actual. Just draw on top of it, make your own layer, and draw within the space of the panel. This is just me, plotting space out for the artists that are working on these examples. You can draw all your panels and characters within the space of this rectangle, if that makes any sense. Ooh, Broken Cheeses has entered the next page. Cool. You can't even click on the oh. Can everybody click on dynamic panel layout examples, or is that locked for people? Let me see if you've got permission issues here. Hold on a second. Approved. Oh, that's because you weren't approved. I didn't realize you were that new. Hello, you've been approved. I'll go in and make sure that everybody is approved. Approved. Okay. Okay, you should all be able to move around in there now if you want. I'm going to go and make sure cheese has been approved. If you still can't get over there, let me know. It seems like you have the gist of it anyways. Okay. So anybody who is having issues in there, you can't go over there. I think that's a little bit, I changed the thingy a bit. Oh, let me look. Yeah, see, that's better. I think that helps the eye move in the right direction a little bit. So that's good. I'm loving the anatomy I'm seeing here broken. This is really cool. I'm so excited. These all look so cool. Marilyn, this already looks great. Holy cow. So if anybody wants to come over to the first tab here and look really quick, Melon just joined, but is already doing something really cool in advance. So Melon is using the angle of the panel and the separation between two. Is this a panel edge here, Melon, that I'm looking at? Is that the edge of a panel? That there, is that the edge of a panel? Yeah, okay. So beautiful. So Melon's doing some really cool stuff. Melon's using the edge of a panel as a guide for architecture in the actual scene itself. So they have, they have a character leaning against a wall, holding a gun, looking all cool. They're using the angle of the first two panels here as sort of like an accentuation of panel one because the panels get smaller as they go up here. They're using this separation between these two panels as a support for the direction and layout of the wall the character is leaning against. This is really solid and simple dynamic panel layout already. Super good. Super cool. I see some breakout going on there. Ah, this is good. I'm very excited. Yeah, tab one here is looking really good. We have so Melon and August are both doing some super awesome panels. And everything's looking good. I don't have anything but nice things to say. I'm trying to be all hard on everyone, but I'm just like, this is great. This is all so good. This is really cool. Let me see. Do we have any chat going on? Who drew Flat Earth in the stream asks, who drew that panel? Which panel are you looking at? I'm very late to that comment. I just realized I have chat going on over here too. I always forget about StreamYard. I'll keep an eye on this. Flat Earth, apologies for missing your comment. I'm gonna try to keep a better eye on my StreamYard stuff here. So good. Okay, I'm gonna start working on them again. Now that I have my really super sketchy basic thing going on here, I'm gonna crank that opacity way down. And I'm going to make my second layer and start getting this panel layout the way I want. I'm going to use the line tool. Do we have a line tool? Am I crazy? We might not have a line tool. Nope. And that. And that. Well, you know what? I'm not going to use a line tool. I lied. Lasso. Yeah. Maybe. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out. That is the struggle of using every time you shift to a new tool, hold shift and draw. Does that lock it to the X and Y? I think it does, right? Or can you, let me test something. Yep. Okay. So it's just tap. There we go. Thank you. That's the standard. It's like that in Clip Studio as well. I'm just so used to there being an actual line tool that lets you kind of bypass that. Let's go to inks. Actually, no, I'm still sketching. I'm still getting all of this where I want it. So I'm going to stay on blue because I'm still sketching technically. And we are going to start getting all these panels where I want them. Actually, for this, I might as well just, yeah, that way I'm not making wonky rectangles. I want my right angles where I want them. Here we go. Okay. So my panels are real simple. I have two basic panels and two breakouts. Does anybody else do this when they're drawing? They're like, wait, how does that go? And then you just start hand posing like while you're working. You go up against that one, okay. Yeah, one of the funniest things to look at is like a room full of people drawing something because you get like so many like odd facial expressions and like poses just kind of happening naturally. All right, so this guy's going here. Oh god, all the time facial expressions. I hope I make a concerted effort to not do that while I'm on camera. But if I'm drawing like on my own in private where no one's watching, I'm literally like sometimes just taking pictures of it's like just I have a ton of stupid selfies of me just making dumb faces because I can't remember how faces work when I'm drawing half the time. All right, so he's got his little sneaker popping out here. That's the main breakout. I'm gonna give him his little Velcro looking laces. Pop the shoe out. Give him a little leg action here. Finding really fun, creative ways to pop a character out of a frame is like the hallmark of my style. One of the hallmarks of my style. I do that even when I'm not doing like a comics page. I still lay out my illustrations within frames so I can break out of the frame a little bit and give this kind of perceived dimension to things. Not only does breakout do really cool things in terms of like establishing energy and laying things out, but it also makes everything feel more volumetric because the mind is kind of placing the panel on a plane, right? So as soon as a character breaks out of that panel, they're breaking out of the plane and they're starting to feel a little more like in the real world, right? They feel like they're no longer stuck in the page. I'm a big fan of like intentional breakouts like these. And in case anyone who isn't familiar with comic shorthand, these little X's are essentially mapping out where I plan my blacks. So a lot of really good art in the comics industry leans heavily on large black areas, heavily inked areas to sort of like push everything, like push that contrast really hard. But when you're doing the pencils for a page, you don't always like do this. A lot of times, in order to keep things clean, you just do a little X to indicate that that's where a black fill is going. Yeah, so if you ever see a page from a comic you like and you see these little X's everywhere, that's what that is. That's shorthand for heavy inking for blacks. And it kind of helps you zoom through your pencils a little faster too. You don't spend all that time like scribbling in lines and dealing with that sort of thing. And once you've done it for a little while, like your brain just plugs that in. Like I see these X's as fills, like already. Been doing this for a while. Does anybody else like bend feet and hands in ways that don't necessarily work in the real world, but still feel right in your drawings? Like I'm bending his foot like his toes are going in and pointing, and it's like giving this weird flow to the foot that I feel like feels good. But that's not how a shoe works when you're running. Okay, I'm not the only one. I totally like cartoon flop my feet around. It's ways that make no sense at all. But I always feel like it still works. So okay, good. Yay! I'm not alone in my weirdness. I'd rather do that than be one of those comic artists that like hides hands and feet in pockets and behind panels. I forget. Oh no, I'm forgetting. There's a famous comic artist who like was like industry standard. He did all the Action Comics for a long time. And yeah, he used to do that. He put everybody's hands in pockets or like behind weapons, or like the guy just couldn't draw hands and feet, so he hid them all the time. I'm the opposite. I'm like, feet go sploosh, boom, whap. Like, this is goofy. It feels so over the top, but I love it. All right, this is a nice pose here. I'm gonna plan for the bubble, but the bubble's gonna change based on the the amount of text in there. I don't know exactly what I wanted to say there. All right, next, let's take a quick break and look and see what everyone else is doing. Ooh, August, this is looking really cool. Melon, you're awesome. Okay, these first two pages on this file are really good. Shoot, are those bullets? That's awesome. This is really cool. Man, I rarely see someone draw the actual bullet. It's usually a streak, right? Like a little like zing. That's cool. I like that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Whoa, sugar, this is looking wild. Who's working on this panel over here? This page, it looks like we got a werewolf or some cool like lichen character here. Who else is here? We got Turkey, Glitch, and Sugar. So it looks like this is Turkey's page. I'm liking this. Yeah. This looks cool. This is really neat. I like that your motion, like the position of this character here, is very much in line with the slope of your panels. That's a nice touch. I like that a lot. I have to see where you're going with this sugarcane. I love your like spooky character. Huh. He almost feels like an automaton, like a fight, like a battle doll or something. Is that what we're going for here? Because I like it. That's cool. And this is cool glitch. This feels like in a video game, character dialogue boxes with like the character like in the corner. I think that's really cool. That's a nice way to sort of like personify this exercise actually. And then over here, by their lonesome, broken cheese. Ooh, that face. That's a great expression there. All right, you have two characters noticing each other, or like walking away, or I like this motion. This panel is just a beat, and I like that. It's like a smash zooms like this on character expressions are always really fun to draw. That's really good. Excellent anatomy. I mean, excellent comic anatomy. I'll say. I know some people in the server who would be like, muscles on muscles aren't actually a thing. Like, this is really cool. I like this. This has got comic written all over it. I am blown away. How long do these usually last? Is this usually an hour? Somebody help me out. I barely know what I'm doing. I just show up and I talk about things, and then someone tells me I should go or not go. I don't know what I'm doing. That's why. Oh, August somehow managed to claim my panel. My how'd you do that? You stole it. You stole it from me. Magma can be weird like that sometimes if you're not paying attention. I think after I proved everyone that you just got like all the abilities all at once with no moderation. Oh, does it? Is it that easy to take a layer over? Wait. Ha! No. Yeah, it's mine now. Ha! I stole one of your layers now. Ha! Take that. Sorry. I was just testing something out. You can take your gasp colors layer back. I'm sorry about that. My bad. I stole it. Turnabout's fair play. Thank you for teaching me how to more easily steal other people's layers. You can take it back, can't you? Or I can just reassign it to you. Yeah, it's yours again. It's funny. I've actually been pretty active in Magma, just trying to figure things out for myself. But I'm doing it like by myself, which is sort of against the whole point. It's that breaks the whole point of Magma, and I get it. But because I'm training on my own, things like that, like the community stuff, where you can take over layers and share layers and all that stuff. Like I don't ever learn it. I almost wish we had Anya in here to give us her response to the idea of highly exaggerating hands and feet for the sake of like dynamism and excitement, because I feel like that breaks Anya's logic specifically on how to do things. So that layer is actually pretty simple. That panel. All right, so I have my breakout. I have my panel that establishes what is chasing him, and then I have my leap of faith panel. It's coming along. Holy cow! Somebody in the watching on YouTube has the name Iron Man 0 MK Master 8 Gundam CH Tony. What is going on with that name? Hi, Iron Man MK Master 8 Gundam CH Tony. Holy cow. That's a name and a half. Even after years of doing characters and comics and illustrations for everything under the sun, I still have this thing where, like, and tell me if anybody else deals with this. When a character opens their mouth, their whole face elongates a bit, like in the contours of the cheeks and jaw and chin tend to change, based on the amount of mouth opening and facial expression. For some reason, even after all this time, my brain still has trouble making those adjustments. Like right here, he's got his nice long face because he's doing his yell. His mouth is open, and then down here, I'm like, what shape is your head again? I am I should be ashamed of myself for still having that problem at this point in my career. I'm gonna look at the Discord really quick and see if anything's going on in there. I think we're at time here. Yeah, I think we're at time. All right. I'm going to keep this going for a little longer until someone yells at me because I'm having fun. Don't tell anyone. Nobody report me for making an extra long class. Y'all don't have to stay if you can't. All right, question in chat. What kind of music do y'all listen to when you're drawing? Or do you not? Is anybody here crazy and a silent drawer? Because I can't draw without music. It's only been an hour. So I think, is it an hour or an hour and a half? See, I always forget because I know these things have like a set length. I don't know if it's an hour and a half, or 2 hours. I always lose track. And I've been involved in plenty of these. I should remember that. But in case anyone has any doubts, I am remarkably mentally broken. Don't remember anything ever. I have zero time management skills. Energetic music for illustrations, dark classical for studies, and sounds when I'm listening to people. Fair. Okay. I have music going on in the background right now because my brain can't function if I don't have like some background filler to parse the static in my head. August, you answered my facial contortion thing. In your defense, the first thing you had as a reference was a mouth open. Well, yeah, but I've been drawing this character for a second. Like I have like turnarounds and sheets for him, and I figured out this problem already, like in those sheets. But for some reason, every time I start drawing again, I'm like, mouth open, mouth closed. What does that look like again? Shoot. All right, so glitchy. Sometimes I listen to music, but lately I find myself putting on YouTube documentaries and podcasts in the background. I do audiobooks, but that's a special case because sometimes if I have someone actually like in my ear talking that I'm not engaging with, it does something. It snaps something in my brain, and I have to like pay attention to the person talking, and I like stop drawing, like I'm doing right now. Like I don't get anything done because I end up being like invested in whatever's happening in my ear. Yeah, I have no excuse. You're right. I have zero excuse. It's just I could just open my character model in a different window somewhere and just look at what I did before, but that's too hard. That that requires that requires forethought and planning. I don't do either of those. All right, let's see what else we're doing here today. Ooh, I see some color popping in. All right. Well, we're quickly Magma. Ooh, that's nice, vibrant color, August. I like that. Oh, those are eyes. Actually, it's good that you expanded that panel because you have a character that has like multiple eyes. Oh, are these characters related to the ones that you were drawing last time you had a class, August? Because I think you did a character that had multiple eyes in the last comic training thing we did. Okay. I like your character designs. They're really cool. You have some interesting aesthetics. Very neat. There is a webcomic that I found a long time ago. I think it was called Catalia or something like that. If I can find it again, like hit me up on Discord. If I can find it again, I'll see if I can send it to you. I think you might really like the art for this thing. It speaks to your character design sensibilities. All right, Melon, I'm gonna let you cook since you're in the second sketch layer. This is looking really good. Super, super solid work. All right, tab 2. Ooh, we have a flip on Turkey's panel layout. Interesting. Liking it, liking it. This is starting to feel really interesting. Ooh, okay. The character design has been hashed out a little further. Now I know what I'm looking at. I'm liking the sugar. This is looking cool. Ooh, Glitchy, you changed that second panel, and I think that really helps. I like this a lot. I like this dynamic pose here. Now, the only thing I would say about the dynamic pose you have here, it works very well with your panel layout, but it does guide the eye back to the left, which takes the reader just mentally in a different direction and, away from turning the page. Still, this is beautiful. This is beautiful work. It's funny, Sugar. Every time you're in here, I don't know why you show up twice in the list of users. I don't know why that is. Keep going with what you've got because this layout works really well, Glitchy. But just for future reference, like when the last panel is guiding someone to the left in Western comics, oftentimes that's kind of pulling focus. You see it a lot more in manga because the manga in the West has been translated and sort of semi-flipped to work in our reading direction, but not all the way. So like eye guidance in manga isn't quite the same with what we would see in Western comics. But in general panel layout terms, if this was a page comic and not a web comic that's read from top to bottom, that motion guides the reader away from a page turn. Now, if this was a web comic and it was kind of an endless scroll situation, motion guidance is very different. Yeah. A lot of us come from a manga background in terms of what we read, so our understanding of eye guidance is kind of messed up. But we also, a lot of us are webcomic readers, which is another complete break from the standard page turning eye guidance. So what I'm saying here isn't a hard rule, but in the world of American comics, it's a pretty standard rule. It's funny because when I trained in comics, I'm so old, 23 years ago. Oh my God, 24 years ago. And I was being trained by people from the actual industry that did work on DC Comics. And can I read? Oh, you can read. Yeah, surprising. I know. But like all the hard rules of that craft have been sort of altered, changed, or just deleted since I was trained in comic craft, because web comics and the prevalence of Western translated manga have completely just thrown a lot of those basic rules out the window. So sometimes if I'm telling you something like eye guidance is off or panel break is guiding the person in a weird direction, take that with a grain of salt. Like this is all open for your own interpretation. Your style is your style, and there's no wrong way to do anything. But basic rules state left to right eye guidance is kind of the way to go. Man, your color blocking completely changes the feel of your pages. That's a really fun cut. I mean, breakout that you did here. This breakout of this main character on that takes up the left, August, is really cool. That's a super fun breakout. I like that a lot. Very cool. Unless I say so, because I'm always correct. Fair. Hey, it's your comic. I'm just here to show you what I know, and you can do with that whatever you want. That is 100% accurate. It's not even a joke. Mel, I like that you're doing a like just a classic angled cut. You're not doing any breakouts. You're using panel layout as action guidance. This is really cool. You're guiding to the left too, but you're also guiding down significantly, which feels more webcomic-y to me, which is why my eye wasn't necessarily spotting that as something weird. So if this was like a webtoon, this would be perfect. Eye guidance downward in a webtoon is really, really useful. You can't always do that because it'll feel like everyone's always just falling. But in action sequences like this, downward eye guidance is really useful. That's cool. All right, we lost somebody. Broken Cheese left. It's a shame, with a really nice start to a really good page here. You can always come back and work on it later. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be taking this and moving ahead with it. This page is already feeling kind of fun. So once I finish this, I'll likely be taking this into a different program for some texture work. I really, really like Magma's group drawing tools, but they're still developing and they're adding a lot of things to this still. Like they're constantly improving the system. And one thing they haven't really done a lot of yet is like really reliable texture brushes. Like they have some that are great, but what I'm looking for is like halftone, like dot patterns, line patterns, and things like that. So like, I think I'm going to take this somewhere else and do a little bit of texture, and then I'll post the finished piece when I'm done. Ugh, the song is terrible. I'm glad you can't hear my music. Ugh. You ever have your music? You're just like on your liked songs, and you just let it randomize, and then eventually you get to a point where you're like listening to music from a few years back, and you're just like, ugh, why did I listen to that? Why is that on my liked songs? What did I do? What is wrong with me? I was just on some like really rudimentary kind of like soulless hip hop, and I was like, ugh. Always happens, right? The randomize function on Spotify or any music listening program is a window into your chinibio, your cringe old self. And it's so awful. Every time I have it on randomize, I have a moment where I'm like, oh God, no. Oh, I'm sorry, past self. Made some bad choices there. What do you guys think? Hands open or hands closed for this jump off this ledge here? Oh, I look, my my internet here is kind of crap. And I have moments where I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. Then I'll realize, oh, I'm not even streaming anymore because the internet just decided it couldn't handle it. So slightly different, but I totally feel you. Open, I think looks cool. Yeah, I was thinking open. This feels like he should be holding on to something. Yeah, okay, I agree. Got halfway through this drawing and I was like, That feels a little odd. Yay, hands. Let's draw some hands. I know a lot of people who don't like drawing hands. How do we feel about hands and feet here? Who likes drawing hands and feet? Hands out that away. So it's going to be kind of maybe tense ones. Do you have trouble drawing relaxed hands? A lot of people do. A lot of people are like, you don't like drawing feet? Feet are weird. Feet are weird in general. I never understood the appeal. And I'll keep that comment right there. I won't go any further. I never understood the appeal because feet are very weird looking things. They are odd little meat nubs that I don't like the look of. They're just like this big flappy chunk of like a stump of meat with little other stumps of meat coming up. They're so weird. Is that you drawing lines on my stuff? Yeah, the hands with funky proportions. They are odd hands with funky proportions. That's a. I mean, if you're trying to like break through with your ability to draw feet, that is a great way to look at it. Allegedly, hands with short fingers and really long palms. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, it's so cursed. I think that's why some of the coolest and scariest monsters for me are monsters that like do hands and feet in ways that don't. I should add a hat. Oh, I should be paying more attention to this. Turkey, Brittany, Colby. Oh, your art is so good. Thanks. Um, are you in the Magma file, Brittany? Because you should scroll around. We have other artists in here that are just absolutely wrecking it. I'll scroll around and look. I should add a hat. So this character exists. This is a standing character that's going to be in a story. So he does not wear a hat, unfortunately. There are characters with hats, though. I have a very cool turtle who wears a beanie. I'll show him to you one day. But he's not a hat person, and he's running away from somebody who has flames for a head. So that person also cannot wear a hat, not effectively. But let me scroll around in case you're not in the canvas. Look at all this great stuff going on here. August is absolutely crushing it with these nice bold colors and interesting panel layouts. I'm really liking your flats. Your flats are super impressive and solid. You can also draw a new page frame around the outside so you don't have to worry about coloring toward the line, August. And then we have over here, Melon has got some fantastic proportions and panel layout. Look at this tension in this shot here. How good that is. Like I can feel the tension. Beautiful work. I'll just suffer instead. Wait, what? What are you doing? Oh, suffer through the panel. Fine. I understand. I have a lot of things where I'm working on them and someone will look at what I'm doing in the program and be like, you're doing that wrong. And my response is always, I know. Because I do so much stuff in art wrong, but it's just how I've learned how to do it. I can't stop looking. Your colors are really grabbing me. Like, this is beautiful. All right, let's move on to the next. So who else is in here? Turkey is talking. Brittany is talking. I'm not a full body kind of. The flame is kind of a hat. Okay, yeah, it works. Ooh, Turkey. This is really shaping up. I like your texture. This is really pretty. I'll finish later. Okay. I like where this was going. Do we still have? We're down to one sugarcane in the list of people here, so I don't know if that means sugarcane has left or one of sugarcane's screens has left us. But I like where we're going with this a lot. And I gotta tell you, Glitchy, this is awesome. This is absolutely crushed. This is beautiful. I love the style of your characters. I mean, you've seen my work. I like really cartoony stuff. I like things that are like super not real, like just goofy, hollow eyes and giant noses and big facial expressions. I love that kind of stuff. So this is right up my alley. I really like the look of your characters. Super cool. I'm very into it. Your colors are nice and cool too, like really nice understated colors. I'm really looking forward to seeing this frame done. Very cool. And then yeah, we had somebody in here, Broken Cheese, doing a really nice page, but I think they had to go. So hopefully they come back and finish this because look at that face, just that face right there. Holy smokes, so cool. If Broken Cheese were here, or if they're watching, my one recommendation is if we're talking about the panels themselves, I would love to see what you're doing with the bottom of the page here because right now this is feeling it's dynamic and non-traditional, which is great, but I'm not understanding your like the reason you're making the choices for your panels here. And I'm saying this specifically in the hopes that Broken Cheese is somewhere and can hear this or will rewatch this at some point. You have really nice forms, a really good face, some decent looking action starting here. But I think some cuts. Let's do this here. I think like a cut panel here with the breakout would do a lot of work toward making this motion feel a little more dynamic and bold because right now it's a bit stiff. But otherwise, I'm very into this. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Are the other people streaming? No, I do have Discord. So Brittany, for you who are watching, this is actually we're part of a Discord community for Magma, the official Magma Discord. I don't think I am able to send an invite here, but look for the official Magma Discord. You can find it somewhere. I'm an ambassador, so we have a lot of people who are professional artists who will hop in and do quick lessons and give people feedback on their work. There are people who are light years better than me, but I've been in the industry for a while, so I can talk to how things work. It's a really good community full of really good people and just solid energy all around. So if you're looking for a good place to go to get used to Magma as a tool or to meet other artists that are really like good at talking art and being cool about it and not being your typical Discord weird art person, for lack of a better phrase, it's a really solid community. I highly recommend taking it up. Yeah, yay, Brittany, rock on. We are super excited for new artists to join. It's a pretty wholesome spot, not a lot of debauchery, which is for the best considering how Discord works. And as you can see here, we got tons of great artists that are just constantly putting great work out. And a lot of them do share their own Magma art boards for you to hop into. There are a lot of community draw sessions, other really good lessons going on. It's the best. Super good. And the head mod, like the person kind of running things, Anya, is really fun. I've known her for a while. And she knows her stuff. She's been training in realism painting, like digital realism, and she is phenomenal. Just light years ahead of me because I'm a cartoonist. I don't do realism. I'm also colorblind, so lines are my friend. They help me know where the colors go. So we have a lot of different types of artists, and nobody frowns on any other type, right? I know a lot of realists that work in that server who are like super supportive about what I do and what other cartoonists do. A lot of good understanding all around. Totally recommend it. I'm running a sequence of classes on sequential art. So the last class was about telling a story through action without words. This is about dynamic panel layout. The next one's going to be about like unique speaking and narration tags. So different speech bubble styles to indicate who's talking or to indicate a mood. You see that a lot in manga. The difference between a narration panel and a speech bubble, unique, interesting ways to do thought balloons, things like that. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff. And eventually I want to get us to the point where we're going to be working across multiple classes to make one short comic per person. We'll do it like this. We'll have page layouts and we'll each work on a longer form story together. after we kind of assembled our lessons. You like drawing in gacha? I don't think I know what gacha is. I'm technically a manga ambassador, so I don't acknowledge the presence of other art programs, at least not on the stream. Um, but I'll look into it. I don't know what gacha is. I'll have to dig in. All right. Let's get our antagonist in frame here. See how we're going to make him look. So if anybody was here for the first character design lesson conversation thing that I did when I was talking about the Dark Hollow characters, this is going to be one of the demigods. So he's going to be chased by a little flame-headed skeleton dude who is not Ghost Rider, I promise. Not Ghost Rider, I promise. Didn't you hear me what I said? Didn't you hear it? I said not Ghost Rider. You all suck. I have were any of you here for the Dark Hollow talk? Did you see the character designs? I'm really super happy with my little demigods. I think they look really good. And I don't say that about my own art terribly often. I'm one of those artists who's like, yeah, I suck. Fair. Yeah, they eventually got into the discussion. They each have like a unique skull and a unique type of flame. The flame is kind of used as their like personality indicator. You know, some have like roiling, crazy, energetic flames that shows that they're kind of angry gods, and others are like really smooth and clean, and well, some feel like natural, and it's all hopefully pretty cool stuff. Could be super awesome, could be super awful. It's hard to judge your own work sometimes, isn't it? There's one with smoke. Actually, there's one that's just smoke. Like there is a demigod who is an assistant god, like a helper god to Cupid, and his heart makes little his smoke, his fire makes little hearts. There's a chaos god, and his is the smoke, and his actually comes out of a pipe he's constantly holding onto, and it actually comes out of the pipe and then envelops his head, so it kind of works backwards. I have a lot of fun ideas for using fire and smoke to illustrate a character like these characters, like personalities. That secretly I'm going to use to mislead the reader so they think some are good when they're not and some are bad when they're not. You know what I mean? I'm gonna break my own rules because, haha. If you look up what a gotcha are, oh, you like drawing in gotcha style. Okay, never mind. I totally understand what you're talking about. All right, cool. I actually worked on a little project that started off as a gotcha thing. There was a musician who was um, really popular in the gotcha community, and she wanted a little music video done. And I originally pitched like gotcha style, but that eventually got turned into just kind of an anime style. So I'm familiar. That's cool. Ooh, I didn't plan any. I didn't plan any perspective on this one. I'm gonna wing it. which as someone teaching a lesson here, don't do what I'm doing. Don't wing your perspective. It's never good. But I don't care. I'm too lazy to care. Paper dragons. Like actually out of paper, or is that like a type of like you draw paper dragons? Like what are you talking about? Ooh. Orange, right? Yeah, orange or red colored speech balloons is cool. It's interesting. That'll make our next lesson nice and easy for you. Well, yeah, you make them with paper. So I was thinking, like, you know how South Park isn't actually paper cutouts, but it's kind of designed to look like paper cutouts. I didn't know if that was like a thing that you like to draw, or if that was a thing. That's cool. I'm not so good at paper craft. For some reason, I get a little frustrated too quickly. I don't know why. I think it's because you don't have the control Z. You can't just undo a mistake. If you cut wrong, you're sort of screwed. Paper craft is rough. It's a skill. It's a really cool skill. This is shaping up nice. This panel going in this direction, I like it. I feel like something in here could guide your eye slightly down and keep the flow going. But maybe the speech balloons will do it. Who knows? Other than that, this is really cool. This is really, really nice. All right. So, hour and a half is up. How long are these? I feel like I should be better at planning for these lessons. I don't plan at all. I just hop in and do things until they're done. Do you do jelly art? You're throwing out a lot of terms, Brittany. What do you mean? I'm an old man. I draw comics the way I learned how to draw them way back in the old days. Is jelly art a style, or is jelly art with jelly? Because this is we can go for until 7:30 if you want. We can go to 7:30. I think a 2-hour lesson is okay. Yeah, I'm older than I look. I'm an old dude. I've been doing this for a while. Style, okay. I will 100% look up jelly art style because that sounds like super fun. I have a friend who's really into drawing like slime monsters, and not in the way you are probably thinking. Like he likes the classic Japanese video game character slime thing. And he does a lot of like cute versions of those slime character, like wearing helmets and hats with fun facial expressions and stuff. I think that might be as close to jelly art style as my brain is allowing me to go without seeing a reference. I don't think I need all of these buildings. I don't want to clutter the image too much. And I know in this part of the story, he is sort of leaving town. So we don't need all the buildings back there. We can show him on the edge of town. So that'll be black there, black there. And I want to add some detail to these buildings, but I'll do that at some other point. This building, on the other hand, is going to have lots of detail because it's close up. Something that I really miss about, so I used to live in New York City. I lived in Queens. And something I used to do is walk around and take pictures of all the buildings around there because you can get some cool ideas for like building details and stuff. because buildings are super wild. There's a lot going on in architecture. If you're gonna draw something, and a lot of times I see artists making these like very kind of plain. I don't want to say boring because it sounds like I'm being mean, but plain, like really plain buildings that don't have a lot of character to them. And I feel like it puts your art on a new level if you're willing to like go that extra mile and make like really unique, interesting buildings with like tons of architectural detail, um, which is really, really hard to do in perspective. Which is why this whole comic style that I'm working on is all about just breaking the rules and making things look however I want. Because while I do want to do all this fun detail, I do not want to do it in perspective. Um, I miss being able to go out, just like go out for a night and just look at buildings like that. I live in the Midwest. We have some nice buildings out here, but man, New York City. If you're ever out in New York City, anyone watching this or participating in the stream, just take a stroll one day and take some pictures, just for your reference. There's some really cool stuff out there. Like minor buttressing like this, like the little supports you see built into the edge of buildings that hold up the ledges and stuff. Glitchy. I feel like my priorities are a bit wrong. I know, like I should have finished a rough sketch of the entire page first before coloring instead. I would agree. I would agree. But since this lesson isn't necessarily about drawing process, I wasn't gonna harp on you about that. This is more about panel layout and telling your story. But I agree. I think you're on the money with that because let me go back to your page. The problem with moving this far this fast, especially in something as complicated as a comic book page, is if you reach this panel here and you realize that something isn't quite feeling right or the eye flow is off, you exceptionally increase the amount of work that it will take to make the adjustments necessary to make it feel right. Which is why you see my page initially was just hot garbage, rough drawing, just crap. You put a lot of nice detail in here, but you don't have your plan done for the final piece. I would say it's fine to go a little hard on some panels that you feel really excited about, as long as you don't do that before you at least have your layout for all the panel elements in place. And it can be as rough as you want. Like go crazy rough, no problem. But at least have everything laid out. I feel like this is not quite done being laid out, right? I know what you're doing here. It looks really cool, but I feel like you have some elements that are missing because with an image this large, you're going to have to do some background work or at least motion lines to an extent. Um, yeah, yeah, you're right. You probably should have gotten this all done before you got that far, but it still looks beautiful. Ooh, August is done. Let's take a peek. Beautiful work as always, August. So good. See, something you do all the time with your work that I've noticed is you use line colors that aren't black. Like you use blue lines here. Is that blue? Am I reading that right? So pardon my color blindness. And you use colors that traditionally kind of vibrate against each other, but you do it very well. Purple. Okay, that's why it doesn't vibrate as much. It's hard to put words to why I like the choice of line color here. It brings a sense of coolness to something that would otherwise be extremely hot. This is a very warm page, but your choice of line color sort of balances that out without having to break your simplistic color scheme too hard. Like a lot of times to balance out something that's a little overly warm, you would need like really cool backwashes, core shadows and things like that. With your line color, you balance things without needing all of that. I think that's really nice. It's a good call. It's a good choice. Did you base your line color on my panel frame, or did you make that choice? Because I can't tell the difference between the two if there's a difference. That's how bad my color blindness is. Oh, bye, Brittany. Oh, yeah, yep. It's nice. It's very nice. It works very, very well. Well done. Well done for sure. I like it. Melon, I hope you keep going on this because this is looking really cool. It's really, really cool. Okay, so then if you're looking at the stream, I don't know if you are or not, your line color here looks the same as my line color choice to me. I can't tell any difference at all. Which is why my style has developed to be so simple. Like I do put a lot of like complicated shape. I'm more about shapes and forms than I am about colors for, you know, obvious reasons. But I can see that you've done something really, really nice on this, and it really does help balance things out. Beautiful work, August. Well done, well played, and congratulations on being the first one to finish. Yeah, Turkey's page is turning out really nice, really, really, really nice. You lied. Did you use the color that I used? Yeah, okay. You know what? Fine, whatever. You do what you want. Okay, so that's why it doesn't look any different. I mean, it wouldn't either. It was purple and blue. I wouldn't, with the exception of like purples and blues that are way off in tone. I wouldn't be able to see the difference between the two. You could line them up and they'd look identical. Okay. All right, that makes a little more sense to me. I thought I was like, because I zoomed way in. I was like, really? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna cap the lesson. I'm gonna sum things up here. So if you want to look at the page that I'm working on, I used all the elements except for um, overlap for the sake of pacing. Like like how the last one with Venom that I showed was trying to keep things feeling in the moment because the panels were sort of looping into each other. Aside from that, I used all the different elements that we talked about. So I used overlap for scene setting. So I set the scene with Freddy doing his little run here. Then I had my nice standard central panel that gave us a little beat here. And I'm doing a bit of an overlap with speech bubble to guide the eye down to the final panel. And then I did a horizontal, like a diagonal cut, along with an overlap to guide the reader toward the bottom corner of the page to encourage page turn, right? Now, eventually, once this is lined and colored, well, actually, it's not going to be colored. I don't know if anybody has seen my more recent pieces based on this product, but it's all on like kind of a craft paper texture, and everything is just black and it's like halftone for shading. But once it's all finished, it will hopefully be a really clear. So this is the ideal eye line here. Let me look at this. So if I was going to show you the perfect eye line for this experience, it would be starting. Are you going to let me draw? Am I on a weird color? No. No. What's going on here? Oh, it locked itself because I hit the stupid button. Okay. Starting here, where the text starts. Eye line goes through here. Down, you see him continuing his run. Eye line will go to the speech bubble. And then it'll go here. So as you can see, it sort of guides the eye in a traditional page of text reading pattern. It starts at the top left and guides the eye to the bottom right. Ideally. Now, sometimes if you go a little too heavy on your shading, your textures, you can kind of throw off that eye line a bit. Really, I think just in terms of the layout itself, I think I've got it going in the right direction here. August did a good job of that too. I would say your eye line. Okay, you're up here. I'll make a top layer. So your eye line is, let's see, I start here naturally, and this flow brings me here, which is actually really kind of cool. It's not a typical eye line, but it works. And then I go here. So my eye will be looking here before I look at the text, which is actually kind of good because you're sort of like processing the character's facial reaction before you process the speech balloon. So then I obviously go here, and then this is a really good clean eye line. I like this a lot, August. This one is super good. I mean, this is clean as hell. This is obviously the beginning. You do a nice clean line from character to, you know, his next shot of the same character, and then you draw that eye line straight here. Now, if this was a webcomic, like I said, I would be encouraged to scroll down. If this were a page comic, it would fly a bit in the face of your typical like page turn eye line, but I like it. I think it works really, really well. Let's go look at the next page. All right, so right now, Turkey, my eye is going from here. Let me make a layer and drag it up so I'm on top of things. All right, so Turkey, obviously I start here. You have this nice kind of bold, shadowy, dark frame here, and my eye is naturally drawn from left to right, which is great. My eye line then goes up, which leaves me here. So unless there's something planned for this part of the drawing, like a speech balloon or something, like a roar or a sound effect, my eye line is terminating in kind of an awkward place. Now, I'm obviously going to keep looking. It's not going to stop. But the natural eye flow is thrown off just a teensy bit. So if you had roar, it would help to kind of guide that eye line instead into this direction, if that makes sense, which would kind of keep me going in the right direction. I hope this makes sense. I hope I'm illustrating this correctly, at least in a way that helps you understand. Because right now, my eye line terminates here, but it starts to kind of move in this direction because the paw cut is getting you into that frame. So while this is a really fun page and I understand the story, if I'm being really nitpicky and I'm trying to teach the lesson that's being taught here, the eye line is a little bit off. You're using your cuts in a way that sort of terminates the eye line. But once you get back here, this feels really natural. That's really, really good. Really, really, really good. So this top portion, supernatural and easy. Bottom portion, supernatural and easy. Your cut is misguiding the eye just a bit. Oh yeah, I don't have enough states to undo. Oops. All right. Let's look at Glitch. Now, Glitch's eye line is really clean. So obviously I'm starting here on the face. So I don't know if anybody here who reads manga does this, but sometimes when you get into a flow, when you're reading a book, you tend to kind of like blast through either the speech bubbles or the art and just turn those pages because you're just gobbling it up. And then you realize after a couple of pages, you kind of missed something. You got to go back and figure out what you missed. Part of that experience is because of that eye line. So right now, this is bold and clear enough that it's stopping my natural eye line and forcing me to read. But my natural eye line does this because that way the hand is reaching out and you know the focus that comes from this image. Now, there is some potential issue here. So whatever you're doing here, I can't tell if this is a panel or if this is taking place in the background of this image. So The ideal eye line is that to that. If you have a panel here, this really nice gap that you've bridged with the hand becomes a problem instead of a strength. Does that make sense? Let me know if that's making sense. If it is, then I'll keep going. If not, I'll back up. So that's your goal. Okay, so this is a panel. So ideally, like structurally, just for the sake of our discussion, that's a panel, right? So if you're guiding your eye in this direction, that's gonna hurt the reader. Um, because our natural inclination with comics is to read net, net, and net, right? Left to right and top to bottom. You're guiding, like you're breaking sequence, which is a big no-no when it comes to sequential art. So I'll think about it a little bit because I love these two panels. These are really strong panels, but it seems like your plan for the rest of the page is gonna make this naturally be read out of order. All right, I'll let you process that. I don't want to draw too much attention to you for too long. Um, your art quality is super good. You have a really nice character eye for character. You have a really nice eye for composition. But I think panel layout, especially if we're getting dynamic with it, is going to be something you need to think about a little harder, just to make sure that you keep that eye line going the way you want it. Because yeah, this is a tough ask, especially once all the color and figures are in place. Can you get to the examples still, or no? Are we still in a situation where no one can get to that panel? Okay, if no one can get there, I'm going to drag this in. I'll delete it, so don't worry, anybody. I'm going to delete this after I drop it in, but I want to show really quick what I'm talking about here. So look at this page. This character is breaking into almost every other panel, but the eye line still goes in the direction you want it to because the flow of motion sort of draws your eye to the right, and our natural inclination is to read right to left. So the eye line they're going for here, sorry, is this. And the panel break helps that gap right there get bridged. Now, I wouldn't say this is a perfect page. I think it's still a little bit sloppy, just a teensy bit. And it's relying on people to lean on the style uh, instead of the actual content. But you can see this is a kind of a similar example to yours. You have an arm breaking the panel that's going into another. But this hand is what's guiding the eye back to this panel. Right now, your hand is guiding the eye to panel 3 from panel 1. Now, something else you could do, because I like what you're doing with your storytelling here, you could make this panel here, because it looks like you have some action, like somebody's dashing over here. You could make a breakout, like a diagonal cut panel that helps to tell that action a little better and make this into panel 2, even though it's panel 3 right now in your plans. I'm sorry, I'm only focusing because I like what you're doing a lot, and I want to make sure that the panel layout doesn't break your nice art. Okay. Like a smear, August says. Can you tell us what you mean a little more? And while you're typing, I have to end the stream. We're officially 2 hours in. So this has been a really, really fun lesson. And I love what I'm seeing here. We're going to keep drawing in here. And anybody who is still watching the stream, if anybody is, just know that we are still going to be working on this in the Magma file. There's a really fun Discord server that Magma runs. If you want to find all of us and see what we're doing and jump on board and be a part of the community, I highly recommend looking that up. I don't know if we have it in our links or not, but we should. And otherwise, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be talking next time about speech bubbles, thought bubbles, narrative boxes, that whole thing. So we'll be really leaning into the actual text narration next time. Thanks for joining, and I will talk to you all later.